Long ago in the land of Canaan, a woman named Rebekah carried twins in her womb. But something was unusual. Her children struggled within her. Confused and troubled, she sought the Lord in prayer. Rebekah kneels in a quiet place, eyes closed, hands on her stomach. Then a divine voice speaks to her. The voice said, "Two nations are in your womb. Two peoples shall be separated from your body. One will be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." This gave birth to the most controversial verse in the Bible, Romans 9:13. "For it is written, Jacob I love and Esau I hate," which leaves many Bible scholars with the question, why would the Heavenly Father create someone he hates? Or are we all programmed to live a certain life? Some call it fate, some call it destiny. This prophecy would shape the destiny of her sons, Esau and Jacob, which were to be born, twins with different paths. From that moment, she knew she was carrying a prophecy. Just like you, watching this right now. Don't ever forget that your life is a living prophecy. You must always pray for it to be a prophecy for good and not evil. Months later, the prophecy came to pass. It was the birth of the twins inside a tent. Rebekah groans in labor. Isaac, her husband, stands beside her. A midwife assists as the first baby emerges. Midwife smiling. "It's a boy," the newborn cries. A strong, red-skinned baby covered in thick hair. Isaac said, "His name shall be Esau." As the midwife hands Esau to Isaac, another baby follows, this one gripping his brother's heel tightly. Rebekah, breathing heavily, looking at the second baby lovingly, she called out Jacob. From that moment, both Isaac and Rebekah had already chosen their favorite. And so from birth, Jacob and Esau were destined for struggle. A battle line was drawn. This is so true about life. The battle of life for most people starts the very day they are born, due to the great destiny they carry. As parents, you must help your children guide their destinies jealously, because the enemies are always closer than you think. As time went on, Jacob and Esau grew up to be two opposite brothers. Esau grew into a strong, adventurous hunter, his father Isaac's favorite son. But Jacob, on the other hand, was different. Quiet, thoughtful, and preferred staying close to home. Rebekah loved him dearly. The story of Jacob and Esau is that of two brothers, two destinies, and one life-changing betrayal. Or was it a life destined by God? Something was about to change to align both brothers to their destinies. It was the birthright exchanged. One day, under hot, blazing sun in the afternoon sky, Esau trudges through the wilderness, sweat pouring down his face. His hunting trip has failed, and his stomach growls loudly. Jacob, his brother, was in his usual sport, sitting by the fire, stirring a pot of red lentil stew. The aroma fills the air. Esau, staggering in, panting. "Jacob!" he shouted to his brother. "I'm starving. Give me some of that stew before I collapse." Jacob looks up, stirring slowly. He eyes Esau thoughtfully, then smirks. "I'll give you some, but first sell me your birthright. Now pay attention to this and teach your kids as they go out there. Each day, the devil presents us with discount opportunities to sell our destinies. The world is so spiritual, and destinies are the currencies of the spiritual world. So many have sold their destinies for a short moment of pleasure in exchange for a lifetime of pain and agony. We must be vigilant. Esau blinks, then bursts into laughter, but stops when his stomach growls. For he was short-sighted. He never knew the benefits of a birthright. Perhaps he wasn't thinking. So he said, grumbling, "What good is a birthright if I die of hunger? Fine, you can have it, just give me the stew." Quickly, Jacob hands him a bowl, watching as Esau eats greedily. At that moment, Esau gave away something priceless for a simple meal. He did not realize the weight of his decision until it was too late. How many times have you taken decisions that have ended up to hurt you so badly? One wrong choice can change the entire trajectory of a person's life. So years later, Isaac, now old and nearly blind, sits on his bed inside a dimly lit tent. He calls out weakly, "Esau, my son." Esau answered, "Yes, father?" And Isaac said, "For I am old. I do not know how much longer I will live. Take your bow, hunt some wild game, and prepare my favorite meal. Then I will bless you before I die." Esau nods and hurries out. But little did they know that outside the tent, Rebekah listens, her eyes wide with urgency. She rushes to find Jacob, her favorite. This was one of the greatest forms of a mother's betrayal against a son. But such is life. Most betrayal comes from our very own bloodline. That's why the Bible said a man's enemies would be those from his own household. Are you a young man or woman? Have you been hurt or betrayed by the very person you felt was your family? God is speaking to you today through this story that it is time to let it go. Give peace a chance and God can heal that broken heart again. Rebekah told Jacob, "Your father is about to bless Esau. We must act quickly. But Esau is hairy and my skin is smooth. What if father touches me?" Rebekah firmly responded, "Let the curse be on me. Just do as I say, Jacob, my beloved son." She hands Jacob Esau's clothes and covers his arms with goat skins. Then she prepares a meal just as Isaac likes it. When Jacob enters Isaac's tent nervously, carrying the meal, Isaac sniffs the air. Isaac asks, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob hesitates, then swallows hard. "I am Esau, your firstborn." Isaac eats, then reaches out, touching Jacob's hands. Isaac confused. The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's. After a moment, he lays his hands on Jacob's head, transferring the blessing, saying, "May God bless you with abundance. May nations serve you, and may you rule over your brother." Jacob's eyes widen as he realizes he has the blessing. Do you know that a father carries blessing? That is why we must respect our earthly parent. And as parents, each day make it a habit to speak positive words to the lives of your children. Don't use negative words often on them. Instead, prophecy into their lives, for words are powerful. Words are spiritual. As this great generational blessing was being transferred, Esau was still out there hunting for his beloved father, for he loved his father greatly. Little did he know that back home his brother had taken away his blessings. After receiving the blessing, Jacob leaves quickly. Moments later, Esau enters with a steaming plate of food. Esau called out to his aged father, "Father, I have brought your meal." Isaac freezes, realization dawning. His face falls. His wife had done the unthinkable, for his greatest fear has come to pass in his old age. Isaac shouted, Who was just here?" Esau angry, "What do you mean? Someone came before you and I have blessed him." Esau's face darkens. He clenches his fists, his voice shaking, he falls to the floor. "Jacob, my brother, he has deceived me again." He held on to his father's legs with all his strength, begging, "Fathers, is there none reserved for me?" Isaac wept bitterly, for there was nothing he could do. Esau turns to storm out in rage, for the great war had just began. Still armed with his hunting gears, he went out looking for his brother. Rebekah, who all this while was hiding close to the window, overhears and rushes to Jacob. She pleaded with Jacob, "You must leave. Flee to my brother Laban's house. Stay there until Esau's anger fades. Who knows, maybe someday." Jacob, voice shaking, "What if Esau follows me? What if he never forgives me?" But such is life. It is a game of what ifs. Rebekah softly touching his face, "God has a plan for you. Trust him." For she still kept hope on the prophecy, as both mother and son were planning their next move. Isaac enters the tent, walking slowly with his staff. Jacob freezes, expecting anger, but Isaac's face is calm. Isaac called out to him, "Jacob, my son, come closer." Jacob kneels before his father. Isaac places his hands on Jacob's head, his voice gentle yet firm. "Do not take a wife from the Canaanites. Go to your mother's family. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful. May you inherit the promises given to Abraham." Tears fill Jacob's eyes as he nods. He embraces his mother, then slips into the night, glancing back at his home one last time before disappearing into the wilderness. Don't forget this. Jacob left everything behind: his family, his home, his safety, fleeing toward an uncertain future. Sometimes for you to fulfill destinies, you need to leave your comfort zone, for there is nothing of great value in that comfort zone. Take that trip you have been hoping for. Be strong and courageous. Take that interview. Start that scary business. For life is one big adventure. Who knows, something great might come out from that decision. For the doors we are often afraid to open holds the most treasures. And so, Jacob traveled throughout the night. At some point, he became exhausted as he wanders through the barren land. The sky darkens as the stars begin to shine. He finds a large stone, sets it as a pillow, and lays down, sighing deeply. He called on to the God of his father before he lay down to sleep, crying out aloud, "My God, will you still be with me?" His eyes close, and suddenly a vision appears before him. A magnificent ladder stretching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. Sometimes we might think our dirty deeds might stop God from reaching out to us, but don't forget that he is an ever-loving Father. That night, God revealed himself to Jacob in a dream. God's voice echoes, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham and Isaac. I am with you. I will bless you and bring you back to this land. I will never leave you." When he woke up from the revelation, he sets up the stone as an altar and pours oil over it. Jacob, lifting his hands, he prayed, "Lord, if you will be with me, provide for me, and bring me back home someday safely, then you shall be my God." With renewed strength, Jacob continues his journey. After a long journey, Jacob reached the land of his mother's family, and there he saw her, Rachel, the daughter of Laban. For him, it was love at first sight. She did not need to walk past by again. But they say, whatever you sow, that is what you will reap. He was about to taste his own first share of betrayal. Jacob watches Rachel, his heart pounding. He quickly moves to help her roll the heavy stone from the well. Jacob smiling as he said to her, "I am Jacob, the son of Rebekah, your father's sister." Rachel's eyes widen in excitement. She rushes home to tell her father, and soon Laban appears, arms open wide to welcome Jacob. Laban said to him, "You are my own flesh and blood. Stay with us." Jacob smiles, but he does not yet know this new home will bring love, hardship, and another great betrayal. That was how Jacob settles into life with Laban's family. He worked hard, tending sheep in the fields. Jacob worked for his uncle Laban, but his heart belonged to Rachel. One evening, Jacob and Rachel sat by a stream, laughing as they talk. Jacob smiling. "Rachel, from the moment I saw you, I knew you were special." Rachel blushing, teasing, "Is that so? Then why haven't you spoken to my father?" Jacob's smile fades into determination. He was going to take her as a wife. Jacob knew what he had to do. Jacob said to Laban, "I will work for you for 7 years if you give me Rachel as my wife." Laban agreed. 7 years it shall be. Jacob smiles, unaware of what is to come. To Jacob, the years felt like days because of his love for Rachel. Years went by. Times were hard, but he kept working. Most days he missed home, but the fear of his brother won't let him return. 7 years came by, and he had his dream wedding. But little did he know that what he ordered for wasn't what was delivered. After the wedding, in the early hours of the morning, Jacob realized he had been fooled. It's not Rachel, it's Leah, her older sister, that he had gotten married to. Jacob's face turns from confusion to anger as he storms out, confronting Laban. "Why have you deceived me? I worked 7 good years for Rachel, and you deceived me." Laban shrugging, "It is not our custom to marry the younger before the firstborn." Jacob clenches his fist but takes a deep breath. Maybe he remembered how he also years ago betrayed his brother. Laban smirking as he said to Jacob, Work another 7 years, and you shall have Rachel too." Jacob looks at Rachel, his love for her unwavering. He sighs and nods. Another 7 years to get what he wants. Sometimes what we want in life won't come on a platter of gold. But we must not lose faith. We must keep hope alive by fighting for what we love and believe in, no matter the circumstances and situation we find ourselves. And so Jacob worked another 7 years for the woman he truly loved. Some Bible scholars believe it was the blessing upon his life that gave him a double portion. He asked for a wife, he got 2. His household was growing bigger. Jacob now had 2 wives, and they gave birth to children. The blessing of his father, which he had stolen from his brother, was working perfectly upon his life. And so Jacob continued working for Laban, but he realizes Laban has been changing his wages unfairly. Jacob worked hard, but Laban was a dishonest man. Years had gone by. At this point, he was missing home. How long would he continue to be stranger in a foreign land due to the fear of his brother? That night he called out to God, "Lord, I have been faithful. Show me what to do." God gives Jacob wisdom to breed strong, healthy sheep. Over time, Jacob's flocks grow larger and stronger, while Laban's weaken. Laban saw the prosperity of Jacob and became angry, and called his sons, saying, "Jacob is taking everything from us." Jacob sees their jealousy and knows it is time to leave. It is the same with life. Sometimes your blessing will attract all manner of envy and jealousy. That's why you must have the God-given wisdom to know when to leave a job, a neighborhood, when your status no longer fit that environment, because the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. A day came, Jacob gathers his family and flocks at night. It is better to die in his own land than in a foreign land. Jacob said to his large family, "We must leave before Laban tries to stop us." That was how his journey to the land he once ran from began. This time the blessing was evidently showing in his life. Hundreds of livestock, servants, wives, and children. Jacob travels toward Canaan, but stops when he hears news from the messenger who had gone ahead of him. The messenger ran back and panicked. He screamed, "Your brother Esau is coming with 400 wild men." Jacob's face turns pale. He divides his people into 2 groups, praying desperately. In his wisdom, in case he is attacked by his brother, at least the other half can survive the onslaught, and his bloodline would continue. Jacob prayed, "Lord, I am not worthy of your kindness. Save me from my brother Esau's wrath." That night, Jacob sends gifts ahead to Esau, flocks, servants, and much more, hoping to soften his heart. That night, while he waited for the message that would determine his fate, alone in the wilderness, Jacob encounters a mysterious man, and they begin to wrestle. The struggle is intense. The man touches Jacob's hip, dislocating it, but Jacob refuses to let go. Jacob gritted teeth as he said, "I will not let go unless you bless me." The man looks at him, eyes filled with power. The angel said to him, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and man and have prevailed." Jacob gasps as the man disappears. Jacob had wrestled with God and was forever changed. What circumstances are you going through right now? It is time to wrestle with God. And this time you are to wrestle with Him on your knees. Is it trouble in your marriage, finances, your kids, or your place of work? It is time to pick on the courage of Jacob and wrestle with God to change your circumstances. And so Jacob limps forward, his heart ready for what comes next. He knew he had conquered his brother in the spirit. The next day with his family, Jacob sees Esau approaching with hundreds of men armed to the teeth. This must be the last battle of his life. His heart pounds as he bows low to the ground. But suddenly Esau stops, then suddenly runs toward him. Jacob braces for impact, but Esau throws his arms around him in an embrace. Instead of revenge, Esau offered forgiveness. Only blessings can turn your enemies to your admirers. The blessings of God breaks protocol. Tears fill Jacob's eyes as the brothers embraced after so many years. Hi guys, the story of Jacob who became Israel is that of divine redemption. Jacob's journey was one of trials, deceit, and redemption. He faced betrayal, but also received grace. In the end, God's plan was greater than his failures. Through Jacob, God's promises continued. Thanks for watching this Bible series to the end. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please join this amazing channel by clicking the subscribe icon and turn on the notification bell to stay updated.